Hello and welcome to JDStone Creations. My name is Johnny, and in this video I show you how I turned my guitar from a piece of Chinese whatever it was to a equally weirdly tuned but actually playable guitar. It's the tuning that I've actually got it set to is it's open B flat, but then I put an extra B instead of the fifth on the second string. That's only for one song that I've got recorded at the moment. Other weird things about the guitar? Well, for one, it has a locking nut that doesn't fit. And it's with a tune-o-matic bridge. Completely pointless. And here's me demonstrating, it really doesn't fit. It sticks out on the side, it's on both sides even. The bottom string doesn't quite sit nicely on the frets. They've been chamfered across or sanded in too much on the fretboard, so they don't actually sit central. Another thing noting with this guitar, as I take it to the bench to disassemble it, is that Lindo never actually made this body shape. I'm pretty confident that this neck was simply just fitted to whatever guitar body they had lying around. But hey, I like the look of it, so it's staying as is. So, as I remove the string, no, not the strings, the tuners, machine heads, whatever they're called, and remove the nut, I will show you an extra little thing that becomes a bit of a predicament, as, as you will find out. Here's the nut that I proposed to fit. And now there's a big chunk of wood just sort of missing. So, yeah, I decided not to fit that nut, as you'll later find out. Now, when it comes to the electrics, well, I wanted to do something interesting with these, so it was a case of stripping everything out. Using many professional tools, like a pair of pliers and my finger. So, the old electrics, yeah, that's where they're staying. Now, the neck cavity. Cavity? Hole. I can't remember what it's called. This was not going to be an expensive rebuild, so out came the wood filler, and out came the sandpaper to make it as level as possible. Here's one of the points, is you want as much contact with the hardest possible substance, and wood filler is just as hard as the wood anyway. So, yes, it's probably not going to do wonders for the tone, but it's going to be better than if it just doesn't fit. So it's great to actually take a straight edge and make sure that it does fit as nicely as possible. And there was a tiny little gap there, so out comes the rough sandpaper, make sure as much hardener is removed from possible. So, time for the Dremel. Now, the reason I'm doing this... Christ, that's loud, I'm going to have to adjust the volume on that. The reason I'm adjusting this is because the pots that I decided to fit in this are actually of a slightly different size of shaft. Shaft. Handily, however, I have a drill bit that is the size of the shaft on the pot, and here's the new one. And there it fits. Nice and snug. Great thing is, the more snug that you get the fit of these, the less chance that it's ever going to turn around while you're trying to secure it, or while you're trying to keep it in place while you do actually turn it when it's finished. Oh god, I am a rambling man. Now, see that notch? See that hole? Yeah, they match up for a reason. And here's me trying to put in a drill, it doesn't fit. Now it does! This kind of thing can be quite scary to do to an expensive guitar, which is why I really quite like cheap guitars like this. They're just... I don't know, you can make them sound nearly as good as expensive guitars. Especially when you keep them clean. As I clearly hadn't done previously. So, yeah. Oh, this was me sanding the nut hole, cavity, whatever. Yeah, just making it as level as possible so that the new nut fits nice and snug. And of course, if you're going to make any guitar or any musical instrument playable, make sure it's clean. You can make any jokes about me cleaning my wood now. Right, now we're done with that. Time to actually remove the tuners that I was meant to remove earlier on. Nice and simple, all just unbolting and unscrewing. I do enjoy unscrewing guitars, they're just nice and mechanical. It's one of the things about being a keyboardist is you don't really get to enjoy decent materials and actually tinkering and changing things. All you get is buttons and menus. This is a point that you will get to listen to. Yeah, notice how before it wasn't making a noise on one side? Yeah, that's because the frets very clearly hadn't been levelled properly, or at least not on the sides. Whether the neck had shrunk over time, I don't know. But needless to say, they needed filing. After using the file, I did actually go over with 400 grit sandpaper and a little bit of wire wool, which makes it just nice and smooth and slick to play. And also means that your knife can run along it without making any sound. Just a demonstration, of course. I'm not going to do that while I'm playing it. I wonder if you could play a guitar with a knife. Questions for later. Most people use lemon oil to clean a guitar. Oh, yes. This is where you get to listen to the scratchiness and the non-scratchiness of not sanded and sanded. Trust me, it makes a massive difference. Do it. Get some 2000 grit sandpaper and teak oil, sand your fretboard. It feels lovely. And now we come to some of the cosmetic parts of the guitar that I wanted to change. I've put part of the Tune-O-Matic bridge here in a drill, so that instead of having to accurately sand it, I spin it round in the drill, hold the sandpaper on it, and hey presto, they are sanded and ready for paint. So, here they are, stood up on two little square magnets, ready for some zinc primer. Not entirely sure why I use zinc primer, considering these are aluminium parts. They're never going to rust, but hey, zinc primer's better than anything, so. And here's all of the other bits. Ba-ding! And the dust mask that I should be using. Whatever. Yep, you betcha. Gloss white paint. I'm not even sure why I chose gloss white for this. I just kind of fancied it. I'd never actually seen white hardware on a guitar before, so hey, why not? Also, it must be said, none of it turned out gloss. Because of the primer and because of the light coats, it actually turned out matte. Or at least satin anyway. Which, frankly, looks even better than I thought it would. Now we come to the fabrication. Now, it must actually be said at this point, I didn't actually fit this part. It was going to be a custom fabricated nut because, of course, I didn't want a locking nut on this guitar anymore because it didn't need one. But as you'll later find out, I fitted one anyway. It must be said, I spent hours dicking about with this thing. It was going to be a completely custom fabricated nut. Beep beep. It's 2 AM. I shouldn't be recording at this time. It's literally just turned into me waffling now, but hey, at least you get to see some grinding and welding and stuff on a guitar, or at least guitar parts. This is at the point where it absolutely wouldn't stay still. I wasn't able to weld it together properly. What the fuck just happened? Fuck me. So, that was actually as much footage as I got of the rebuild. I never got to take any pictures of me physically rebuilding the guitar. So, with all of those changes I made, here's what it looked like in the end. Must be said, considering I spent 50 quid on this guitar originally, and only another 50 quid restoring it, that's including the strings that I spent, and the paint, and the pickups, which were 20 in their own mind anyway, I think I got a pretty good deal. The pickups are copies of Seymour Duncan Invader pickups. They're by a company called Warman, and they sound genuinely brutal. They are fantastic. Maybe not quite as pin sharp as the Invaders, but for 15 quid, you really can't go wrong. And especially considering this guitar, it's still got its own little nicks and problems, and even the wiring that I did, which is meant to be split, parallel, and series among the switches, not all of it worked, but I love the look of it, and it actually plays, as the guitarist from Dark Rasmus Project, the band I'm in, said, yeah. And I think, for £100, yeah, it's quite a good reaction. Especially considering that the tuners, they're pretty shocking, but yeah, when you put them next to a white Flying V and a custom side blade and a custom bass and a custom 3-string thingamajig, it doesn't look out of place, it doesn't look cheap, and that's exactly what I was going for. Now, if you want to hear this guitar played, don't worry, I am doing a demo. It'll be in a separate video, so be sure to subscribe, like the video. As always, stay creative.